Hey guys, I'm Will today. So in today's video, I'll be talking the only game for round 3 of Super Rugby Trans-Tasman, which is of course Hurricanes versus Western Force. So this will be a very interesting game, obviously, with both sides wanting to win. With the Hurricanes actually winning last week against the Rebels at home. So it was an impressive victory overall from the Hurricanes there. Obviously, that does remain 2 wins in a row for them. So good, they're doing pretty good at the moment. On the other hand, though, you do have the likes of Western Force, who have actually lost both of their games at home. So it's one of those where it's kind of a flip in that sense, where the Western Force will actually be playing their first away fixture within this competition. So we'll see how they do. Hopefully they can break the curse of, the New Zealand teams actually winning, because at this stage, it's just getting too dominant that I'm kind of scared that this whole competition might be scrapped. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, more or less, the Western Force, hope they can actually win this game, but we'll have to see. Have to wait and see. But anyway, here are the lineups, obviously, for both sides. I run them by with you guys, tell you what I think about them, and I'll give my prediction right afterwards. So obviously with the Hurricanes, you do have the likes of Xavier Numia as well as Tyrell Lomax within those prop positions, but they will be facing the likes of Tom Robinson as well as Santiago Moreno. So it's one of those where I would have given it to the Hurricanes if they had, if it maybe had Fraser Armstrong, just because he brings a lot more experience than Numia, but for that reason, I'm actually going to give it towards the Western Force. I just think I've been very impressed by those two props of Robinson and Moreno. So I'm going to give it to both of them, actually. I think Madrano as well as Robinson have done really well together. So I'm going to go with those two for sure. So we're moving on to the hookers, obviously. So for the Hurricanes, obviously, you do have the likes of Asafa Moore, who's actually replacing Dan Coles for this game. And he'll be facing the likes of Andrew Reddy for the Western Force. So this is, in my opinion, probably the two best hookers you could have gone for in this position, because I think Andrew Reddy is probably Western Force's best hooker. You could argue that Dan Coles is, the best hooker for the Hurricanes, but to be completely honest, I actually think it's time for Asafa Moore to get more game time for the Hurricanes. And I just think whenever he's introduced, he always gets a try to his name. So it's just one of those where I think he needs to officially, break into the squad. So I think this is probably his best opportunity. And I think he edges it for me, because I just think he scores a try every single game. So for that reason, I'm going to edge it towards Asafa Moore. So when moving on to the locks for both sides, you do the likes of Walker as well as Scott Scrapton. So that's a pretty good duo there within those locking positions for the Hurricanes. But they will be facing the likes of Jeremy Frush as well as Tamani. So it's one of those where both sets have experienced lock. Obviously with the Hurricanes, you do have the likes of Scrapton, and then for the Western Force you have the likes of Frush. But I think for this one, because I think Walker Losea just has a bit more potential, I'd say, than Tamani. So I think for that reason, I'm gonna edge it towards the Hurricanes in those positions. So we're moving on to the next one, obviously, which is the loose forwards, the last of the forward pack. And the trio that makes it up is Reed Princep, who obviously is the captain for this game for the Hurricanes. So it's good to see that he's been given captaincy. And his partner in crime will obviously be Tupisi Karifi as well as Gareth Evans. So it's a good trio there. I think Gareth Evans has done pretty well actually for the Hurricanes since he's been involved. So hopefully he has another good game. And obviously Tupisi Karifi is just a force to be reckoned with, so we'll see what damage he can do within this game for sure. But they will be facing the likes of Ferguson Warner as well as Kotea and Anstey. So it's one of those where I think there's a lot more balance within those Western Force loose forwards, and I've been very impressed by them, particularly Ferguson Warner. He was very impressive within his first season for the Western Force. But I think it's one of those where I think I have to edge it again towards the Hurricanes, because I think that combination of Tupisi Karifi and Reed Princep is really forming a good duo there. And obviously when Artis Villa does come back into full fitness, that's going to be a pretty you could say tasty trio. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Then we're moving on to the backs, obviously for both sides. With the 9-10 combo, you do the likes of Newt Campbell as well as Orban Ledger for the Hurricanes. So a pretty good combo there. Orban Ledger, I've been I've said it previously, but I've been very impressed by him. Within this competition, he's really stepped up, I'd say, his game from the previous Super Rugby Torero competition. I think he's a lot better in actually finding passes than this one. And his kicking, you can say, is definitely improves. For that reason, I'm going to edge it towards the Hurricanes. But you do have the likes of Thomas Cupelli as well as Mialti, which is a pretty good combo. Obviously, the Argentinian combo for the Western Force. So it's one of those where I think it's going to be a close battle, I'd say. But I think because they actually do have Mialti in instead of McIntyre, I'm actually going to edge it towards the Western Force in those two positions. Because I just think Thomas Cupelli, he's a great scrum half, and I love watching him within that Rugby Championship, and he's actually done pretty well within the for the Western Force. Obviously, he got a try last week against the Highlanders, so we'll see if he can continue his form, really. So moving on to the centres, obviously, for both sides, you do have the likes of, Lea Mabe as well as Peter Manon Jensen, so that's a pretty good combo there. I'd probably say the best combo you can go with for the Hurricanes, in my opinion. But they will be facing the likes of Kyle Goodwin, of course, who is the captain for the Western Force, and his partner in crime will obviously be Richard Kahui, who's done pretty well, I'd say, recently. He's obviously been shifted within the 14th spot within his last 2 games, but obviously he's been put back in the centre spot. So we'll see how he does with that combination with Goodwin, because Goodwin's been very impressive, and I can definitely see him getting Wallabies call-up for sure. So we're moving on to the wingers. The wingers is one of those where I think the wingers is like, it's an interesting one, because you do have the likes of Riasi, who's actually who's returned for the Hurricanes, which is a good thing to see. He was brilliant in that first game for the Hurricanes against the Waratahs. His partner in crime will obviously be Wes Goosen, who is replacing Julian Sevilla, who does need a bit of rest after he played brilliantly throughout both games. So yeah, it will be good to see how these two play together. But they will be facing the likes of Jordan Ofawaya as well as Tony Pulu. So it's going to be one of those where it's going to be a good balance between both of them, because obviously Ofawaya as well as Riasi, I'd say, are 2 speedsters in that sense. But Goosens and Tony Pulu are more or less I'd say, creative players in the way that they play for that wing. So it should be a good balance between both wingers. I'm actually going to say this would be... I think I have to edge it towards the Hurricanes just because I think Riasi is really he's really stepped up in form recently. So for that reason, I'm going to edge it towards the Hurricanes. But anyway, for the last position, obviously, which is the 15th spot, you do the likes of Jordy Barrett going against the likes of Rob McCartney, but I think this is an easy one to select. I think I have to go with Jordy Barrett. I'll admit he hasn't been in the best of form for the Hurricanes recently. Particularly within the last game, he just wasn't to be seen, to be frank. But the week before that, when he played against the Waratahs, he was everywhere. So it's one of those where he has an off and on switch. Well, hopefully he's on for this game, you could say. But anyway, that's going to be with the lineups. If I had to say who actually wins this game, and I'm actually going to edge it. I want to say the Western Force, because I have a lot of family friends who actually support them. But it's one of those where I just can't see them winning. So for that reason, I'm going to have to edge towards the Hurricanes. I do think this will be a closer game than what most people put it at, but I think the Hurricanes will win this game by at least 7 points. I'm going to say 7 points, because I think this will actually be a closer game than what most people predict. But yeah, anyway, I mean 7 points. Yeah, I'm going to say 7 points. And I think the score can be like around, I'll say 27 points to 20. Yeah, 27 points to 20 is my final prediction for that game. But anyway, just hope you have a good day, and yeah, just talk to you guys soon.